Okay then, if everybody's ready, without further ado, I call this meeting to order. The DSU acknowledges that Dalhousie University and the Dalhousie Student Union Building are located on traditional, unceded, and unsurrendered Mi'kmaq territory. The Dalhousie Student Union seeks to honor the relational treaty process in its programming, events, meetings, and interaction. We'll begin with roll call. Amina.
Here.
Alex. Masuma.
Here.
Chantel.
Here.
Corey.
Here.
Jeremy sent his regrets. Katie George Jim.
Here.
Ali.
Here.
Mary McDonald. Katie Douglas. Ashley Farrell.
Here.
Arizu.
Here.
Kate Rumble.
Here.
Yazin let me know that he would be late. Reese McDonald sent his regrets. Chelsea Cox.
Here.
Chad.
Here.
Katie McClellan.
Here.
Cameron Finley.
Here.
Thank you. We'll move along to the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda? Masuma and Katie McClellan. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Is there any opposition to adopting the agenda as circulated? Seeing none, that's taken on unanimous consent. The minutes of the previous meeting weren't sent to me in time to be included in this package. However, I did receive them from Julia, and they will be approved at the next meeting. Communications received. I received regrets from Jeremy Ryant and Reese McDonald, and Yazin let me know that he would be late. Appointments. Beginning with the Accessibility Fund Committee. The Accessibility Fund Committee needs one council member to sit on that committee for the remainder of the year. Alex, do you want to describe quickly what that committee does?
Sure. So we give out bursaries based on like need for equipment or services around accessibility needs on campus. Yeah, it's a pretty low commitment committee. Meets usually, actually this semester it'll only meet maximum 3 times in like a short period of time, maybe over 2 weeks, to go through all the applications at once. So yeah, very low commitment, a good way to get your committee obligation completed.
Thank you. Do I have any nominations for council member on the Accessibility Fund Committee? For the second time, do I have any nominations for council member on the Accessibility Fund Committee? I remind councillors that they can self-nominate if they would like. For the third and final time, do I have any nominations for council member on the Accessibility Fund Committee? Arizu.
I would like to nominate myself.
Wonderful. We have one nominee. Are there any other nominations for the final time? Seeing none, I will close nominations. Since Arizu is the only candidate, do I have a mover and a seconder to appoint Arizu to the Accessibility Fund Committee, Masuma and Katie George Jim? Is there any opposition to Arizu's? Okay, then we'll do it. Do you have a point of privilege, or did you want to?
Yes, I'd like to raise a point of privilege, and I just want to stress that this has my objection is in no way personalized, but I am objecting to the structural oppression that is inherent in the process. So I believe it's a matter of institutional oppression and procedural oppression. Okay,
what process were you referencing?
It's problematic because appointees to the Accessibility Fund Committee do not have to demonstrate that they're allies or that they have lived experience with a disability. Able-bodied people can self-nominate without demonstrating any solidarity for people with disabilities. And having said that, they're in a position of power to scrutinize applications for persons with disabilities who are put in the position of having to prove to able-bodied people that they have a disability. So that is a clear-cut case of organizational oppression and something that the DSU has committed to actively dismantling these types of institutional and procedural oppression.
Okay, with that objection noted, we then need to move in camera to have a vote on this nomination. Do I have a mover and a seconder to move in camera, Masuma and Ali? Is there any opposition to moving in camera to consider this nomination? Okay, then by a show of hands, all in favor of moving in camera? All opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. We are in camera.
Should the nominee
Are we back on? Then, in a secret ballot vote, Arizu Hosseini has been appointed to the Accessibility Fund Committee.
Can I raise a point of personal privilege, please?
Sure.
This is the most disgusting example of organizational hypocrisy that I've ever witnessed. I'm disgusted.
Mary, I'd like to remind you that this was a vote conducted by
Yes,
your
and
councillors.
this student union has no business pointing fingers at Dalhousie University and accusing anyone of structural oppression.
Point of privilege.
Sure.
You can't, like, if you want to have, if folks want to have these discussions, it's not through point of privileges and side margins and comments that don't add to the progression of the discussion.
Okay, yeah. That it is an improper point of privilege that Mary raised. Points of privilege are designed when people are prevented in some way from participating in the discussion through something like me ignoring them, or there being too much noise to hear, or something like that. So I encourage councillors to use points of privilege in the future when necessary. Moving along to the Budget and Finance Committee. We need one non-council member appointment to the Budget and Finance Committee. Are there any, or Chantel, do you want to speak to what the Budget and Finance Committee does?
Yeah, so the Budget and Finance Committee is a committee that consists of myself, 2 members of council that are non-executive officers, and 1 member that is a non-councillor, and we're hoping to elect a non-councillor. The duties include reviewing the budget, consulting with students in regards to the budget, and including societies. Where necessary, recommend amendments to the budget to council, review statements if necessary, and review as necessary budgets for use.
Order. 5-minute recess. Outside of the minute. And we are back in session. Chantel, have you finished your description of the Budget and Finance Committee?
Yeah, just other than we need a maximum of bi-weekly and a minimum of once a month, and we're just looking for a non-counselor.
Are there any nominations for non-council member to the Budget and Finance Committee?
Stand up.
Yeah, sure. You can self-nominate if you'd like.
I'd like to self-nominate myself.
Sure. What's your name?
Liam Finnegan.
Liam Finnegan. Can write that down here.
Hi.
Liam.
Finnegan.
Don't you know how to spell Finnegan?
I'm
just being silly. It was we had.
Are there any other nominations for non-council member to the Budget and Finance Committee? And for the third and final time, are there any other nominations for non-council member to the Budget and Finance Committee? Seeing none, I'll close nominations. Where there is only one candidate, typically we have done this by acclamation. Do I have a mover and a seconder to appoint Liam Finnegan to the Budget and Finance Committee? Nasuma and Ashley. Is there any opposition to that appointment? Seeing none, that's taken on unanimous consent. Thank you, Liam.
Welcome, Mr. Finnegan. You're welcome.
Moving along to presentations, there are none. Committee reports, the board caucus, Amina.
I don't have any updates on my end. I haven't attended, there haven't been any board meetings or subcommittee meetings during this term. Katie did attend one. I don't know if you want to speak to it, Katie.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just not feeling very well right now. I went to a meeting in December. It was a academic and student affairs committee meeting. At this meeting, we had a full agenda of presentations, and just a couple highlights from them. One of the presentations we've had similarly at our council meeting from the Student Wellness Center, Student Life, and specifically about student wellness. And so there are new stats at Dal about the services being used and the type of students that are using these services, and so that will hopefully help us look at mental health on campus. And from this report, it found that Indigenous students are the highest population to experience all of the categories that they were studying. So that includes depression, hopelessness, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, and many, many more things. So that isn't surprising because it also is reflective of the Canadian statistics of Indigenous youth. But that was interesting to see. And then the other interesting thing from that report is that Black students and African Canadian students on campus were the ones who accessed these services the most. So so some of these things will hopefully lead us to ask more questions about how mental health services on campus will be different for different student experiences. So I thought that was a really cool part of the meeting. And we appointed 3 new deans through this committee for engineering, dentistry, and
FAST, right?
no, not FAST. Sorry, there was 2 that came through, and then there's a third one that I'm not allowed to talk about. That's what it is. But so it was interesting to go through and see the processes of which they've hired these deans, who are of the same demographic of most of the deans on campus, over 50, white, and a man. So looking at and having those really difficult discussions on if our diversity policies are working and how they're working at different levels and the search committees. And so having these discussions at committee level was really helpful for us as board members to talk about what a lot has been happening at DAL and the institutional problems that we're facing and how we're taking steps towards recognizing it. So like that's the first step, I think, is understanding and recognizing the issues that we're facing. So that was a lot of what our committee meeting was about, and we walked away with a very, very long list of comments and follow-up questions for the student affairs department unit of DAL, and along with Senate, because Senate works a lot with this committee and academic policies and hiring policies. So a bit of a dry meeting because there was a lot of stats, but it was a really good meeting because we found a lot of information out. So.
Thank you, Katie. Does anybody have any questions for the Board of Governors caucus? Then we will move along to the Senate caucus. Ms. Suma.
Right. So the Senate caucus hasn't met over the break. We had Senate yesterday, Monday. That wasn't yesterday. But it was a very light Senate, so we didn't feel the need to meet because it was the last day of vacation. So I thought it was fair to give our senators a well-deserved break. So we will be meeting in about a week's time, and I'm arranging folks to get on all the subcommittees through their schedule changes this semester, and hopefully fully tackling the Senate structure and making sure that there are senators elected before this Senate caucus leaves. So that's what we're working on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Suma. Does anybody have any questions for the Senate caucus?
My favorite color is purple.
Seeing none, we'll move along to the Society Review Committee. Alex.
We have not met since our last council because they've slowed down a little bit. I figure at the end of term folks weren't too keen on starting society, but hopefully they will be in the next couple weeks. And I think we're at 305 last time I checked, with several pending. So yeah, we'll probably resume meeting in the next couple weeks.
Does anybody have any questions for Alex for the Society Review Committee? Moving along then to grants and sponsorship. Chantal.
We will be meeting for the first time this semester on Friday. No other updates. This is the last one.
Anybody have any questions for Chantal? Then moving along, there is no new business, there is no old business. Then executive business. Amina.
Yeah, there's a report, and I just sent it out earlier today. My apologies for not getting it out during the break. It's a bit of a shorter report since it's only 2 weeks before the holiday break. But to highlight some of the items on it, I had a meeting with the Dalhousie Indigenous Student Collective President on December 15th to talk about a proposal from DISC on how we should better engage with DISC around Indigenous issues, and really using DISC's lived experience, expertise, and knowledge in this area to shape the discussions and ensure that Council makes informed decisions. And so there is a policy that is in the works and should be before you soon. The Bylaw and Policy Review Committee has been very busy and has gone through the full bylaws and have voted on all amendments that we have made. Right now it's sitting with our legal counsel to ensure that we are compliant with any legal things. And then it will be coming forward with hopefully enough notice for councillors to provide input. We are looking for feedback from all of you, and it is an opportunity for you folks to get in touch with your constituencies and to provide feedback back to us. We met with our health plan providers, and I'm sure Chantal will probably touch more on that. Senate has been meeting. We met on December 11th, and the caucus meeting was on the 10th. and then I attended an SPGC meeting on the 13th. Continuing bi-weekly meetings with student affairs and weekly meetings with the VP Student Affairs the ongoing search for an AVP Equity and Inclusion advisor is still ongoing. We are back to the drawing board and we'll be casting out applications once again. The inclusion team has still been meeting. We met with DISC right before the break. We met with the Dalhousie Black Faculty Staff Caucus, and we'll be holding student consultation sessions fairly soon over the month of January and February. And I'll be sure to send out notice so you can inform your constituencies. 5.2 advisory committee meeting. So 5.2 is the strategic priority that Dalhousie has committed to foster a collegial culture grounded in diversity and inclusiveness. And we met right before the break as well as attending another meeting. It seems like meetings on meetings. But the Sexual Assault and Harassment Resource Group also met right before the break. And SHARG connects internal and external bodies who are doing work on issues of sexualized violence and ensures that we're sharing resources. Did a little bit of media with the Gazette, one on increasing student representation on Senate, which we talked about at our last meeting, and another on the draft sexual violence policy. I've yet to see them out, but perhaps keep your eyes open. Yeah, happy to take any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Amina? Seeing none, then we will move along to Alex.
I had a very brief report because there was not a lot of time since our last council meeting and break, but ratifications are continuing. The Student Accessibility Bursary Committee, I have confirmation that the web form will be up by the end of this week to start the winter term application process, and is set to close on February 25th, I believe. So it gives folks a little over a month to get in their applications, and then the committee will all review them all at once. I met with Erin, our equity and accessibility officer, at the end of December to review the semester and look forward to this semester. We're hoping to roll out regular anti-oppression training, some new social media and communications strategies specifically for that office, and lots of events as well. We're going to be opening up our communication meeting. Myself and our communications person and Corey would have meetings around our social media for the week, and we're going to be opening those up to the full executive so that everybody is on board with what's going on social media wise. Attended our regular meetings with the student affairs women, as well as followed up with an SDC case I was on a few months ago, and I'm also still on the sexual violence policy committee for the university, so that has lots of edits to be made over the next couple months. And then the Winter Society and Volunteer Expo is happening January 30th, so please get your societies to register, because I think right now we're at 30 something, and I want more. So yeah, it'll be a good time. And other than that, I had a nice holiday break, and I hope you all did as well.
Thank you, Alex. Does anybody have any questions for Alex? Then we'll move along to Chantal.
Again, a bit of a shorter report. Prepping contracts for new commissioners, and also trying to, contracts has always been an ongoing issue for the DSU, losing contracts, missing signatures, so we're just trying to tighten up that process. Getting folks paid on time, because that's also an issue. Grants and sponsorships to meet this week. I'm working on an information package to upload online, so folks have an example to look at. Often we receive incomplete applications, and a lot of the administration, the exec assistant spends a lot of time just trying to gather those documents. Hopefully this will decrease the time taken to do that. Budget and finance, now that we have a complete committee, we'll set up a time to meet. And we've replaced the vacant position. awarded and processed grants for the International Emergency Bursary with the university. Again, met with the student affairs team with the rest of the executive. Audits have started rolling in. Treasurer training will be happening Monday and Wednesday next week from 5:30 to 6:30, and the application is online if your society wishes to enroll. Although it is not necessary, Tim Hortons has been renovated over the break, and there's now a third register, and hopefully your wait time decreases. The executive had the opportunity to meet with Jeff Ishii to start a mid-year report for the health plan. We will be getting a full report in February, which we can report on then. Just some quick numbers as to what has been, or what the financials look like for the health plan and what has been submitted. If anyone is interested in us sitting on a food panel with Chartwells to survey their services to students, please contact me. It didn't quite take off last semester, but we still have a couple months to get her done. We'll be meeting bi-weekly, if not monthly, and it is not that great of a commitment. I would recommend it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Chantel. Does anybody have any questions for Chantel? Then we'll move on to Masuma.
Okay, campaign meetings, executive meetings, ratification meetings, interview for, oh, that was a long time ago now, wow. Meetings with Ennisburg for programming. There's a new Ennisburg campaign called Ennispire, so we're gonna be doing a campaign week, I think at the end of January. I have a meeting with them on Thursday, and it's basically, it's so cute, it's Ennisburg with the G upside down, so it looks like an E. So like, what inspires you? So that's the campaign to get students to connect on different things and showcase different parts of your personality. And it's the winter and you all have these blues because we're back in school and it's dingy outside and you don't see the sunlight anymore. So why not a fun, cute campaign to make you feel better? So that's what we're going to be doing. I think there's forms that you folks can fill out. I'll probably send the form by this week if you folks want to partake in the campaign. There's going to be large posters on the red wall downstairs, and we're going to be doing some of like a social media sort of gift giveaway and stuff like that. Yeah, so meeting with the ombudsperson, I usually meet with her because there's a lot of issues at this university. Student affairs bi-weekly meeting, SDC, Senate Discipline Committee, DSAS, and end of semester meeting with the director. So we just met to see what we can do and what we will be doing and how I can better support DSAS. My commissioner positions have been posted, and they're going to be open until Friday. So currently I'm looking to hire 3 students. If you folks know anybody, please send them the link. I think we posted on Facebook, attached in the comments. There's lots of jobs opening, so let's give these students some money. I posted my office hours, but they low-key changed because my class schedule was not solidified. So sorry, that's not correct information, but I will update you on my office hours. Senate subcommittee meetings, health plan year review, Senate equity and accessibility office semester, like the end of semester meeting, and we had some goal setting for this semester. We were invited to the Nova Scotia Sexual Violence Strategy release, which happened on December 14th. So we met with members of the Liberal government to talk about that. RJS, so the Racial Justice Symposium, is starting in less than a month. So it's going to be February 9th and 10th this year. So if you know any rad racialized students that you think would like to be surrounded by some BIPOC love, then I suggest sending them out to the conference. The 9th, there's a keynote, and the keynote is open to everyone, and the 10th is specifically for community members of BIPOC. Some more stuff, DSAS stuff, external action, and Inspire and RJS, that's what I'm focusing on. There's a lot of other things too that I didn't get to, but if you have any questions, let me know. You can email me, I'm around.
Thank you, Masuma. Does anybody have any questions for Masuma? Then we'll move on to Corey.
Hi. Report. So again, it's a pretty brief report. Some highlights though are that the Impact Awards, the nominations are now open. The link to the nomination forum is in my report, so if you know someone who you want to nominate, or if you yourself are interested in being nominated, I encourage everyone to check that out. Aside from that, everything's going as it usually does. One big thing is that Snow Week starts next week. So Snow Week is 3 days of
Sorry,
programming.
what week?
Snow Week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. That's a pun, right?
Yeah, it's like a week, but it's called Snow Week.
Great.
And it's also open to all students, so you don't have to be a first year to attend. So that's taking place Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. On the Wednesday, we have first year discussion panels happening across campus simultaneously. On the Thursday, we have a skating trip. And also we're doing some stuff down at Sexton. So the DJ Matt Romeo is coming in. He's the personal DJ of LeBron, or not LeBron. Sorry, Michael Jordan. I guess. Which is cool.
NBA, but he reps 23.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Jumpman.
So that's going to be happening, and then we have some games and stuff happening down there before that. And then here at Studley on the Friday night, Colorado is playing in the Guinness Room at 9 o'clock. Tickets are on sale on the at the information desk right now, $10. It's the pre-sale price, $15 at the door. And again, before that, we have a lot of different activities happening all throughout the sub. Another thing to note is that the yoga hours have changed down in the wellness room. So Monday yoga is now 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. and Sundays 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Aside from that, that's it.
Thank you, Corey. Does anybody have any questions for Corey? We'll move along. Does anybody have any notices of motion? Does anybody have any announcements? Mina.
Yeah, I just walked in, I guess, 20 minutes earlier to a conversation about wanting to have more conversation at this table and with this group. So I'm wondering if, at the chair's discretion, if we can set aside some time at the next meeting to have an in-camera discussion to talk about the last semester and I guess reflections and how we can move forward.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, it might be something that we want to call a special meeting like next Wednesday to do something like that, but it's within your rights to put a discussion piece on the agenda. Any other announcements? Ashley?
DAS is doing a drag show. Well, actually, it's the IDS Society. So if you guys are interested in that, it's Friday, January 26th from 7 until about midnight, and it's in this building. Woo! Sorry, I'm so excited about it. Drag show, so woo!
Thanks, Ashley. Any other announcements?
Should I announce it or should I ask you? Sorry, point of question. DSAS would like to come and present, and I told them about next council.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine?
As long as they give me the presentation materials
Fair.
in advance.
Okay.
All good. Alex?
Wait, so Jarek, just back to your point, what is the process for proposing an in-camera discussion?
It would be a discussion piece. We've had a couple discussion pieces on the agenda so far this year. Just Amina would, before I send out the agenda, Amina would let me know that she wanted to put a discussion piece on the agenda, go on the agenda, and then we'd have a discussion.
Can we just do that now? Like, can this be the notice of that?
Sounds good.
It's like every DAS agenda. Yeah.
Are there any other announcements? Then we'll be here next on January 24th. I'll be around a little bit after the meeting if anybody wants to talk.
Or
about anything.
cry.
Do I have a mover and a seconder to adjourn? Masuma and Corey Larson. Is there any opposition to adjourn?